Thy family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, family, and that you're now setting your roots and anchoring yourself as deeply as you can into the new earth, because that new earth is very much here, and it's all about your level of vibration for you to see it, because it's so subtle. I need to do a whole show on the new earth. I know I keep saying that, but it's so overwhelming to even think about, because you can literally blink and you're in the new earth, and then you blink again and it's disappeared and you're in this kind of normal world that we've been struggling in. But those are stories for other days. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us on that platform. And thanks to every single person that has supported us by purchasing our new song, our new theme song, Change My Mind. It's available in the links below. You can definitely purchase it and support the Wake Up Africa movement. A lot of people have still been sending me news stories. I'm now starting to really disregard a lot of them because I'm no longer in that narrative. So for me, it doesn't even seem like a real story. It just seems like their narrative. But there's a story that was sent to me recently by a subscriber who was talking about how Nigeria, I think late last year, Nigeria finally decided that they were going to stop teaching English in junior school, and they were going to go back to the mother tongues. And then, I think people will, like their students will start learning English now from high school or whatever. And this just shows you that the decolonization of Mama Africa is happening in earnest behind the scenes. There's so many actions that are being taken, family. And once you're on the motherland and you actually move away from the cities and you start driving around and moving around in the rural areas, you realize that so many people, if it wasn't for the mobile device, if it wasn't for the television, would be totally isolated from the rest of the world. And there's so much happening in the rest of the world that is pointing to a great flood, some kind of great collapse. And I really feel Mama Africa will be the ark. Many have talked about how the internet will go down, the electric grid will go down in the divided states, and all these things have been predicted. But as I was reading this thing on Nigeria, the first thing that I felt, Spirit, the Most High telling me, is that it will be so easy to reset Mama Africa, because every African, except for these bougie rich ones, the ones who took except for those, the majority of Africans speak at least 2 to 3 languages. They'll speak their mother tongue, they'll speak the language of the colonizer, unfortunately, and then they'll also speak, the national language. Like here in Kenya, Agikuyu, my mother tongue, of course, English. I also, unfortunately, speak French, and then now Kiswahili. And what I realized, especially when I was learning French, is that, especially, I saw it more in the Babylonian languages, let me put it like that, is that language defines reality. And so the more languages you have in your mind, the more options you have of how you define reality. And I remember when I was living in Switzerland almost a decade ago, we had met with some African UN workers and delegates and, diplomats, et cetera, And we were asked this question by one of the elders. And he was talking, and we were talking about how Africa needs to decolonize. And it was a Pan-Africanist kind of thing. And he was like, what language do you dream in? Because that is your dominant language. And so for us adults who have grown up with these 3-4 languages, we need to move into dreaming in the language of our mother, dreaming in the language of our mother tongue. That's when we'll really know that we've decolonized our mind. I don't really remember any talking in my dreams anyway. Let me not even get into that. But decolonizing Africa, family, especially once people realize the truth about religion, and a lot of the lies actually, we're gonna literally, the people who know the truth are literally gonna have to become like missionaries, going to teach the people in their local communities. But the minute Africa is left alone by the unfortunate catastrophes that look like they're about to pop off in the rest of the world, because not all of Africa is gonna go down, family. But the minute Africa is left to herself, it will be so easy for us to reset, which is why the enemy of our soul is constantly interfering in our affairs. And I actually experienced this in my own life, where I saw that the minute I stepped away from certain individuals, be it family that was trying to block me and doing all kinds of crazy hoodoo voodoo to me, be it envious friends, be it, foes, enemies hidden in plain sight. The minute I isolated myself and I was able to concentrate on myself, I was able to take such massive leaps in my life that if I was to go back to those same people, some who I was hanging out with just a couple of months ago, and tell them the kind of progress I've made in my life, they would be shocked. And so I was thinking, imagine when Mama Africa is just left alone to do her. Imagine when we're just left alone to do us, how much we'll move. And I share this because I think it's important. As much as it's so important for us to know what Babylon did to us and all that thing. It's very important to keep that historical context, lest we forget, and in honor of our ancestors. It's time for us also now to give more energy to creating our new narrative, creating our new communities, creating our new ways of life, our new thought life. And in the fullness of time, there are those scholars who will emerge once that new society and that new earth and that new community has been created, to now study and tell us how Babylon got us wrong. But in my humble opinion, that the energy that we should be using right now, especially because there's a lot of energy, especially us who have awakened family, you have a lot of energy, beings, angels, demons, some of you, at your disposal to do some big things in this realm. And if we could just focus our energy on creating the new, once the new is there and established, we can revisit the old. Because the old is old news now. It's done. And they want to keep us in this painful rehashing so that it's not done, but it's done. So what's happening in Nigeria, we're going to see it spread across Africa. Already there's been a massive movement, both publicly and behind the scenes, to make Kiswahili like the continental language for everyone to be able to communicate with. And I've seen now, especially when I look at kind of some of the dialogues that I'm, and some of the groups that I'm involved in with some of the leaders across the motherland, is that a lot more of our leaders are learning to move in silence and not to chest thump or talk about everything that they're fighting Babylon over, but to just do what needs to be done. And by the time Babylon recognizes what has been done, they can't twist your arm or reverse this or do that because you've already taken like 100 steps ahead. So maybe this is the year that Africa should move in silence. We all know what was done to us. We all know what is coming to us, the 1,000 years golden age. We know we are the ones who are going back to the top. We know that. So let's move in action and make some things happen in 2023, family. Stay tuned to this channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're supporting us, family, because we're about to start taking some quantum leaps, and all those who have supported us will definitely be coming with us on that journey. Tuko pamoja.
I hear a clarion call. It's time to rise and shine. Time to get what's mine. Yeah. And I want it all beyond the riches of the world, to the promises of God for my life. So I'm saying goodbye.